Welcome aboard the BK Escape Pod. That's right, it's the augmented and bionic podcast version of the live show. You can hear Saturdays from 10 a.m. till 12 p.m. Eastern on 100.3 FM and AM 1450 WBHF Radio. You can stream the show live there Saturdays at WBHFradio.org or on the free Tunein app. Look out, here we go.
Portions of this show have been pre-recorded.
Yeah. It's a podcast rebroadcast. All of it is pre-recorded.
You big dummy.
Stand by to receive our transmission.
Wow, has it really been a whole week since I've been here on the air? Jeez. Time does kind of creep sometimes, but it flies when we're on the air. You ever notice how that works? And you ever notice how when we think, oh, back when we were kids, we're like, oh, it's going to be 2 years for the sequel to that movie comes out. Geez, The Empire Strikes Back came out in 1980, and then they say Return of the Jedi won't be out until 83. That's gonna take forever to get here, and it did back then.
I'll never live that long.
We had to wait and wait and wait. Now, when you and I hear the sequel to so and so movie will be out in a couple of years, I'm like, well, it'll be just like next week for us now, because that's just the way it is. Time is perceived differently. I don't know what line we crossed and what age it was. Maybe it's you had kids or something, or something happened to. I don't have kids, but there were other factors, losing a parent or something like that, where time starts to pass differently. I don't know when it hits you. It may be different for different people, but it sure does pass a lot more quickly for us now, doesn't it?
I will tell you, I've noticed, and I've said this before, it's all proportional to how long you've already lived.
Yes.
Because if you're 5 and you're told wait a year, that's 1/5 of your life so far.
Or two
imagine,
days.
1/5 of my life.
Yeah.
When you're 50, it's only 1/50th of your life.
And of course, and that's what it is.
It feels compressed the older you get because of how long you've been around. And then you realize, and you get to the point like we are right now, like, okay, we need it to slow down.
Right.
I appreciate that now things come faster because I don't have to see, it doesn't feel like I'm waiting as long. No, it's okay waiting.
Right.
I want to wait.
Right. Can I tell you the two incidents? And it's BK on the air. Hello, everybody, by the way, in case you're wondering what the heck you're hearing here. There's two instances I can point out, or examples of when time does slow to a crawl, no matter what's going on, is if I'm in a traffic light and someone is sitting there when it turns green and they don't move. That takes a lot to me. That's just slow. Go on. And if you're traveling in your car and you're either a passenger or a driver, and you really got to answer the call of nature very badly, and like, oh, it's just it's 3 exits from here is where the restrooms are, time slows to a crawl. Especially if you're really like at DEFCON 4 or whatever. Because there's different DEFCON levels of needing to go to the bathroom. That's how my wife and I look at it.
I jokingly said, you've got a little prankster in your brain.
Yes.
Who's aware of how
gremlin.
close the bathroom is.
Yeah.
And the closer you're getting, the more pressure he puts.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I don't know why that is.
Instead of saying, hey, I'll give you some time because we're so close. Let me give you a relief bubble here. Right. So you just like, oh, okay, I can last another 10 minutes.
That doesn't happen.
No, it's like, ooh, here comes the exit. We're gonna say, how fast can you actually get out of the car into the hot? We're touching cotton right now. We're gonna see how much we can push.
Got a jumper at the door.
You've got Gene Wilder getting ready to like put off a shot. Like you can squeeze off a shot and light off the dynamite down there.
You won't believe the times I've pulled into my driveway, and my driveway goes up a hill. I got to hit the button, open the garage door, and pull in. The closer, you're exactly right, the closer I get to the house and I pull into that garage, sometimes I'm like, I don't even remember pulling in the garage and opening the garage door and getting out of the car. All I remember is all of a sudden I'm here in the bathroom. What happened to the last 10 minutes?
I don't remember stoplights. I don't remember turns. I'm assuming I made it here in one piece. I mean, because I'm here.
Cow turned.
I mean, it's, how do you... Dude, I don't know how we got started.
There have been
times. Time. We were talking about time.
Okay, I can admit this. There have been times where the emergency button is being pressed so many times that I have texted ahead and said, please unlock the front door. I won't even have time to get my keys out and clear a path.
Yeah, and no one go into the restroom. I know we have 2 of them, but stay out of both of them. In fact, stay out of the one in the first floor. I don't want to have to go up the stairs to the upper deck.
Like you pull the Jim Carrey out of the first Pet Detective.
Do
not go in there.
It's terrible. But we were talking about time, how time passes, and that's
and
part
how
of it.
feels like it changes. Sometimes slow, sometimes way too fast.
Yes. So there you go. A little morning bathroom etiquette, bathroom talk, commode conversation.
Commode talk.
Have a little commode. It's got to be commode conversation. CC. We're doing a little CC this morning.
We're the kings of comedy.
It's a royal flush. But anyway, there's other details on that, but I won't go into that. But you get the gist of it. Well, a lot of things happened this week. I don't get the luxury of doing a talk show, radio show daily, which I'd love to turn this into that, and I'd love to get into talks of that. Maybe do that one day, maybe at night or something. But I do it weekly, every Saturday. I do the radio show, turn it into a podcast. Things happen all through the week, and I got to accumulate all this stuff that happened during the week when you've already heard about a lot of it, but I can't talk about it when it happens except on social media. But two people passed away this week that were kind of, one of them really part of my childhood. Every time someone dies that I consider played a big part of my childhood on a television series or a movie, I always want to point it out, and one of them did pass away, and another one passed away from a sitcom, too, and we'll talk about both of those in the show today. Warner Brothers coming up on the show today. Warner Brothers owns DC properties like Aquaman, The Flash, Superman, Batman, Shazam. That superhero area where they're not doing all that great, as far as compared to I don't know, Marvel, the way Marvel has done it, it's just the truth. I mean, I know I'm fans of DC too, but they're faltering a little bit. But something else has hit them. Variety's saying that they've delayed a lot of their movies now to whatever reason. We'll get into that, too. And I was looking around this week, and I found an interesting article along with everything else I've got this week. We'll flash the audience of the news, the weird, the strange, and bizarre. We'll hear from Pat McCormick and the Golden Age of TV after the next break, and all the regular stuff will be here. And Alan's here with me to have fun. But I've got a story. I saw a story from the Decades channel, decades.com, I think, is another one of those sites and channels that shows classic television series and nostalgic things. And they had an article called, there was a 1980 magazine article about the future of TV and how it got it spot on, with just a few exceptions, but it was eerie how they predicted a lot of things that were going to happen in 1980, how things are today. We'll talk about that. Some people, if all they do, if you and I were to sit down and just all we did was try to predict the future, we might get some things right, because if you think about it, you can think about it and do okay with it. But they're talking about on Nostradamus and things like that. Sometimes those guys, that's all they did was philosophize, and that's all they did. And of course, they were going to get a lot of things right. They were just kind of smart, But
the one thing
we predicted a lot of stuff,
and you're right. Especially if you have a sense of trends and where they're going, and you're
right,
and you also have a sense of history where we've come. One of the things I remember saying in high school, which everyone thought I was just full of doo-doo.
No, we're going back to that again. Okay.
I said, well, I have a one-track mind.
This whole show's going to be about.
Well, when you're in the sewer all the time.
Right.
I said, video games are going to get to a point where if you like playing hand-to-hand or like first-person shooter, you'll be able to do that. But if you want to drive a vehicle, you'll be able to do that. But if you want to fly a jet, I said they're going to integrate all the different simulators.
Oh, yeah.
And, 10, 12 years ago, they started coming out with Battlefield where you could do any of those, and you're playing like 64 on 64, like real virtual wars.
And it was predicted. I mean, a lot of people knew about it, and they're very, very detailed now in their graphics. Well, we're going to continue that. Wait till you hear the article I talk about. All of that, plus some more surprises on the show if we have time. I don't want to run out of time with all the things I tease. We're going to hear from the Golden Age of TV and Pat McCormick. When we come back, we're going to take a break. It's BK on the air, Nostalgic Geekiness Talk Radio. It's fun.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Dunkin' Donuts, you can't find in a grocery store. Dunkin' Donuts, you can't find in a bakery. Dunkin' Donuts, they're not for sale in a restaurant. You have to get them at Dunkin' Donuts. It's worth the trip.
It's a beautiful day for Digital Derby, ladies and gentlemen. Tommy Hill starts out cautiously. He jams his car to second gear. Now third. He's really moving. The traffic is tight, but Tommy Lee Hill's in the lead. Look out, Tommy. Too bad. Tommy Lee Hill's out of the race. Tommy, you had a rough time out there. What happens now? Will you retire?
Retire? I'm only 8 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Batteries not included. Digital Derby Auto Raceway comes complete with lap counter and timer by Tomy.
Greetings, fellow classic TV fans. In 1974, Kolchak the Night Stalker aired on ABC for a single season with only 20 episodes. The show's star, Darren McGavin, began his versatile career on Broadway before hitting the big screen in films like The Man with the Golden Arm with Frank Sinatra and with Katharine Hepburn in the movie Summertime. From 1958 to 59, he starred in the TV adaptation of Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer, and immediately thereafter on the Western Riverboat with Burt Reynolds. Perhaps one of Darren's most memorable roles was as Mr. Parker, the father of Ralphie in the seasonal classic A Christmas Story. But as a reporter investigating unsolved crimes involving the strange and paranormal, playing Kolchak added horror to his resume. According to producer Chris Carter, The Night Stalker was a huge influence on his show, which you may have heard of, The X-Files. The list of guest stars reads like a classic TV who's who. They included the likes of Larry Storch, Phil Silvers, Bernie Capel, Carolyn Jones, and Jim Backus. James Bond and Twilight Zone villain Richard Keel played a monster in 2 of the episodes. Reportedly, McGavin became disillusioned with the less-than-adequate scripts, combined with the extra uncredited production duties he took on. This led him to request an early release from his contract, effectively killing off the show. However, it lives on in syndication, and in the case of Kolchak the Night Stalker, based on its influential merit and cult classic status, maybe less was actually more. This is Pat McCormick with your retro TV trivia from the Golden Rage of TV. You can also find me on YouTube and Facebook at Golden Rage of TV and on Twitter at Golden Rage of TV1. And now back to BK on the air.
Thank you, Pat. Yes, Darren McGavin as the Night Stalker. Alan, you said you'd never seen the show. I was asking you about it off the air there. It was a great show. It used to scare me as a kid because I watched it, but that was what it was for. It was a scary show. Basically, he was a New York reporter, and every monster in the world seemed to collate in New York City.
Have you been to New York?
It's where they flock. Even Jason from Friday 13th. Jason
Maybe it was just an allegory.
Yeah.
The werewolf is really, your spineless politician who changes when you he says one thing to your face, but then turns into something else when you leave.
And they did make a werewolves in Washington D.C. once. There was a horror film of them in Washington, which I thought was perfect.
The politicians who put all these bills together that don't seem to make any sense. There's your Frankenstein's monster.
Well, it was scary. He dealt with vampires, mummies, werewolves, and just ghouls and demons and weird things. And it was a great show. And it's interesting that I didn't know that Pat McCormick there was talking about, leave it to Pat to teach us something, because he does. I didn't know that Darren McGavin had an uncredited role as behind the scenes of the show, because a lot of those actors involved in television shows do that, and it's a lot more work for them. I didn't know that about him. Jack Lord took on a lot on Hawaii Five-0. He was basically the boss of the entire show once that show got running. Everything went through him. He had ideas about the show, and plus, he was the star of the show. And a lot of producers and people would be like, Jack Lord's a jerk. He's a control freak and blah, blah, blah. And he would just say, I just wanted the show to be good, and when I saw crappy things happen, because you and I know sometimes people want something to be good, and people perceive you the wrong way and think you're a jerk the way you're acting, and you're like, I don't want just shabby things to come by.
Right.
We had a story we were talking about Tombstone, how Kurt Russell had to take over directorial reins of Tombstone because they had a problem firing the director and limited work with George P. Cosmatos, who actually took over the directorial reins, who was a director himself, for many years. But it's funny. It's interesting when actors get involved in the production side of television and movies, because we've heard about it a lot.
Yeah.
And especially if they care about it.
It gets the I think it's a misnomer. Oh, it's a vanity project. Well, if you're passionate about it, and you are so passionate you're willing to work multiple roles because you want to make sure that it comes out as good as it can, and if you have the ability to pull it off, fine, call it a vanity project. But you know what? If it's a good, like Tombstone is such a good movie that people who don't like Westerns even like it.
That's true about Tombstone. You can people that don't like sports and golf like Caddyshack. Well, I don't know if that's a proper comparison, but you're right. Tombstone, I think, transcends the Western genre because it's just a well done movie. And how many people, that aren't Western fans could quote Val Kilmer's Tombstone? Just quote the film. It's one of those quotable movies that you and I, we'll hit a quote of. Tombstone's that way. Jaws is that way. All the movies that we love that have great lines are very quotable. Well, a couple of people passed away this week, and one of them was part of my childhood, and I always feel like sometimes that my childhood dies when some of these people pass away.
Good morning, kids. Boy, you're all up bright and early, and so am I. Why, I'm the early bird. I got up bright and early because Luis, still has a broken arm, and he's going to need a helping bird around, and I see him right over there.
Oh, hi, Big Bird.
Hi, Luis.
Well, listen, Bob's already been helping me here. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Yeah, your shoelace is all tied now. Okay. How about if I go back to your apartment and make your bed for you?
Oh, I just did that a few minutes ago, Big Bird. Thanks anyway. Listen, I gotta run. I have.
Okay.
See you later.
Thanks
Anything
again.
else you need?
All
See you,
right.
Big Bird.
Bye, Bob.
Nice guy, eh?
Yeah, but, maybe he made your bed, but I bet he didn't put your toys away.
Oh, well, I don't have any toys, Big Bird. Now, look, I really appreciate it. I know you want to help, but you don't have to do anything.
But I want to, Luis. Oh, I know. Have you had your breakfast yet?
Well, no, but...
Say no more. This helping bird will have it ready faster than you can say,
Luis, your breakfast is ready.
Oh, okay. Yeah, listen, I'm sorry, Big Bird, but Maria already is making my breakfast for me. I'm sorry. Listen, I really appreciate it. I know that you want to help me. But just knowing that you want to help makes me feel a lot better. All right? Well, listen, I better go now because my breakfast will get cold.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you later.
Okay.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
Sesame Street.
Poor
Luis.
people crapping on Big Bird.
Luis Luis there. Wow, what a big part of childhood my Sesame Street was for me.
It was huge.
No
pun intended with Big Bird.
Yes, big, huge.
Snuffleupagus.
Well, I have the story
Oscar.
right here. Julius Young from Fox News is reporting this. Sesame Street star Emilio Delgado has died at 81. He's known for his role as Luis in the era-spanning children's show Sesame Street, as you just heard there. Delgado's wife, Carol, states that the actor, singer, and voice artist had been battling blood cancer for the past few years and died surrounded by his family in New York City. The lively personality was also a trained stage performer and appeared in numerous Sesame Street productions and got his break back in 1971 when he began singing as Louise, the owner of the Fix-It shop on Sesame Street. That's right, he had the Fix-It shop in the earlier episodes. Born into a Mexican-American heritage in Southern California, Delgado told the Houston Chronicle in 2020 that he was raised by his grandparents and took up repair work in a shop before he and his family relocated to Los Angeles. It was there where Delgado began playing the trombone and drums before trying his hand at singing and acting. Now, his leap of faith would soon pay off when he was cast as the Mexican-American soap opera Canción de la Raza. He attends the Street Gang How We Got to Sesame Street special screening back at a Symphony Space back in December 10th in 2021 in New York City. That was an event that he was at. Also, his wife further stated that her husband had been working all the way up until his death, still performing voiceover work in January of just this year. Throughout his career, he also appeared in other television shows, including Quincy, M.E., Falcon Crest, Lou Grant, Law and Order, Person of Interest, and House of Cards. That's a pretty recent television series on Netflix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So he. I remember Luis on Sesame Street. He was just one of those characters that I remembered fondly. And when I found that soundbite of Big Bird, who was voiced and performed by Carol Spinney, and also Bob, the other guy who was Bob McGrath, I think was his name on Sesame Street, it just kind of hit me after I watched it. I'm like, all three of those guys now are dead.
Are gone.
Because Carol Spinney just died, a few years ago, and they did a special about him because, he was Big Bird, and he also did Oscar the Grouch. He did both those characters, Carol Spinney. So another part of my childhood is gone. Luis from Sesame Street. Man, you wouldn't believe how into Sesame Street I was. You probably was too.
I
What
was
kid didn't
huge
watch
into
it?
Sesame Street.
What kid did? I never met a kid that went, I never watched Sesame Street. I never met anybody that said that
No.
as a kid. So, and it was kind of like stages when you were a kid. When I was really young, the really young kids, you start out watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. That's for the really young tykes. Then you kind of move into Sesame Street. Then you kind of graduate and get a little older. Then you started watching The Electric Company, which was another show which was fantastic. Then after The Electric Company, I kind of moved into a Zoom. We were talking about Zoom not too long ago, Zoom. So we had different levels of shows depending on what age you were. And Sesame Street with Jim Henson and the Muppets, I mean, that's where they got their big start. Never forget that stuff because I can even recall songs and skits from Sesame Street to this day in my head, and I know you probably can too.
Every now and then, if a number comes up or something, I said I need 12. I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11,
It was
12.
the pinball machine that was showing it.
And my wife says we were playing this game, but I'll just say I talk to myself. I'll talk in the empty room. So I'm singing that, and all of a sudden I'll go, 12, 12, 12. Like when the voices would come in and say 12 different ways, but I would sing that.
You would sing it, right?
Like just now, like I just did it, and I do that all the time. I always am recalling some of the melodies and the tunes, the things that helped us learn, like how to spell, like Tion, shun, shun, shun,
Right.
shun,
That's right.
Tion.
That's right. Oh, she's calling back. Let's see. She's on the line now. Hello, Barbara. Is that you?
Yes.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. I wanted to talk about one of my favorite shows.
Okay, go ahead.
That was The Jetsons.
The Jetsons, yes, great show. The Jetsons from Hanna-Barbera.
Yes, and you know what I liked about it? They talked about the future.
Yes, kind of the flip side of the Flintstones. You're right.
Yes, and if I remember correctly, they had a vacuum cleaner that ran around the house and vacuumed automatically.
Oh, yeah, they had a lot of stuff like that.
Well,
yeah.
they had Rosie, the robot maid.
And what do we have now? We have Roombas that vacuum your house automatically.
Right, it's all coming to pass.
Right.
We just don't have the flying cars yet.
Yeah, we're Alan and I are waiting on our flying cars. We want our flying cars so bad.
Well, at that time, I thought it was very far out, but not really.
It was far out, man. You're right.
Far out. Yeah, you mean it differently.
Well, that's right. You know, Barbara, if we have flying cars, imagine all the trouble we have on the interstates in Atlanta now. We're going to have all kind of new air traffic controllers and cops for flying cars. The new accidents will be on the horizon.
Well, I can't wait.
All right. Well, when you get one before me. You take me for a ride in it, okay?
I promise I will.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Barbara. Good to talk to you. We'll take a break.
Hey, I'm at the point where I'll just be happy with the self-driving car. I know we've got the technology. It just needs to get a little bit more perfected, but I'm all ready for it.
You could blame it on the self-driver having an accident. Wasn't my fault. I was
my
sleeping in
fault.
the back
I was
seat.
taking a nap.
Love to take a nap all the way down to the Gulf
I was
Shore and
watching
back.
a movie.
That's right. Speak out there. We're going to have fun. Flash the audience when we come back.
Simon sets the pace. You follow right along. Light the lights that Simon lights, or he'll tell you that you're wrong. Simon's a computer. Simon has a brain. You either do what Simon says, or else go down the drain. Simon is a master. He tells you what to do, but you can master Simon if you follow every clue. And if you think Simon's fun at the party, wait till you play it alone.
Simon with 5 ways to play from MB Electronics.
My guest today
Thank you. Did you hear the one about the fellow walked into a barber shop?
Hold it, Uncle Milty. This is my show.
It was. What did I do? Come in too late for the feature? I'm talking to a cartoon.
Would I like to say something, Uncle Milty?
Oh, no. How did I get booked on this show? I got to find a new agent.
That's right. Look one up in the yellow pages. It's the fast, easy way to find almost anything.
Thanks.
What's up, Doc? For fast information about almost anything, let your fingers do the walking through the yellow pages.
Remember, if for any reason you must leave your radio, please have the man at the door stamp your ear so you can listen again later.
12.
One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Yeah, Alan was talking about it before we went to the last break. We're back. It's Big Down there. A little pinball counting down.
I wonder how many other people immediately started reliving that song in their head. That's the thing about nostalgia. Sometimes you may not have thought about something for 20 or 30 years, and someone mentions it, and it awakens that part of your brain. You go, oh my God, I did that, or I sang that, or I know that what you're talking about. And that's part of the fun of the
What
show.
I try to do every Saturday. That's right. It's time we...
You want to wake up a part of my brain?
Yeah, just a little part of it. The little back part behind your ear back there.
Careful which door you open.
Yeah, and you're in our heads. There's no telling what room you're going to go in and find out. But it's time we flash the audience to the news, the weird, the strange, and the bizarre. And look at that. I have the first news from UPI. A California-based auction house said it is selling a rare piece of movie memorabilia. It's easy for me to say. And I'll give you a little hint of what it is.
My goodness, I can talk again. Oil my arms, please. Oil my elbows.
Did that hurt?
No, it feels wonderful.
Yeah, I always want my arms and my elbows oiled, especially when I'm at the beach. The Tin Man's oil can from The Wizard of Oz. GWS Auction said the oil can, one of 5 used during the filming of the 1939 movie The Wizard of Oz, was presented to Tin Man actor Jack Haley after the film wrapped. The bidding on this item for the oil can, you want to take a stab at what the bidding just starts at for this?
$50,000.
$50,000. You're a little off. It's a little higher than that.
$1 million.
Starting bid, $200,000 is the starting bid for this item.
I bet it
one
went
of the
higher than
actual
that
ones. The auction house said the oil can is on loan to the Academy Museum of Motion Pictures in Los Angeles until November, and the museum has expressed an interest in extending the loan if an agreement can be reached with the new owner. So there you go. One of the 5 tin cans from the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz is being auctioned off. How about, you and I have talked about what props from movie history we'd like to have. You know, it's an interesting list with us, but it still blows my mind that the year The Wizard of Oz was filmed in, because it still looks fantastic to this day from the technology that they had to do special effects back then. You got to admit, it still looks great.
Oh, yeah. No, it's a classic for a reason.
It is a classic. So I wanted this sword from Excalibur. You said that what was your movie prop when we were talking that day that you'd love to have? Did you say the Ark from Raiders? I can't remember what you said you wanted. What did you want?
That may have been Clark. I think
okay.
before when we came up with swords initially, because we were talking swords.
Oh, you said the Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, yeah. That would be awesome to have the sword that slew the hand of Sauron that you get reforged back.
If you have that one and I have Excalibur, we'll have 2 iconic swords for sure.
Awesome. And then there's always Conan the Barbarian sword, which was always really cool.
You mean Conan's sword?
Conan's
sword.
Yeah.
You brought up Mike Clark wanting the Ark. That we thought he would like that, or Indiana Shawn. I want to say a hi to Commander Clark. Mike Clark used to be on the show. He's been going through some really tough health issues here recently, and he's rehab, hopefully doing a lot better. Saying hi to Commander Clark out there, giving him a big shout out and a big recover quickly. So there you go.
If we're going to do shout outs, do we want to do one to Walt?
Yeah, we got 2 friend shout outs today. What's going on with Walt? Did he go around the globe another?
He did. We could say happy birthday to you.
To Walt into darkness.
You idiot. You meathead. Happy birthdays to you.
Another birthday means another
You're
cake.
such a pain in the butt because you went and got married and found someone you'd rather hang out with than us. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, I was wondering why there haven't been a Wilder ride lately.
There's not. Yeah,
podcast.
It's a missing Wilder ride.
But it's coming back, though. I'm sure you guys are eventually got something coming, hopefully. So, hey, I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic.
You know,
here.
optimism keeps you young.
Yeah,
we'll just say that.
Along with nostalgic talk, helping your headaches and your pain too.
And your pain.
There you go.
All right. Well, I've got the next news. I'd rather hang out with a woman who's soft and pretty and smells good.
All right. Good Lord.
Shut up and leave us.
Now he's going to call.
That's going to wear off soon enough. Start talking about balls and chains pretty soon.
There went the optimism right out the window. It flew right out.
No,
Somebody
that's
close that
realism.
window.
I'm waiting for the realism. Right now, we're still in the honeymoon
Close
phase.
that
Everything
cage.
feels like magic. It's all rainbows and
Holy cow.
cotton candy and never a fight.
Let's come back to BK on
No
the
one
air.
ever argues in marriage.
We're on Saturday. Let's come back to having fun
I
now.
am.
That's
I'm
all right.
enjoying
Coming
the
back to having
fantasy.
fun. Okay.
I want to know what it's like to keep tripping on LSD.
I'm still on my honeymoon. I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Oh, yeah. I'm on the honeymooners is where I'm on now.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay. All right.
Right to the moon. And just like the honeymooners, I may be the louder of the two, but we all know who actually calls the shots.
Oh, Ralph and Alice. Yeah, okay. Got it.
So, from UPI, I may be sleeping with dogs
That was
tonight.
a long road.
Better than sleeping with the fishes. That's a whole different problem.
You can't return from that.
British home insurance company Aviva detailed some of the most unusual claims involving dogs, including a canine that flooded its owner's home by running the kitchen sink. Aviva said it typically receives about 800 accidental damage claims each year for incidents involving dogs, and the company said each claim was valued at an average of about $1,440. Now, the company detailed some of the most unusual claims involving the canine companions of us homeowners, including the story of a Labrador/Great Dane mix named Whiskey. You already got 2 issues. You got a Great Dane lab mix named Whiskey.
They probably think they're still a puppy. Yeah.
My lab does. 85 pounds of, can I sit in your lap? Let's see. Who turned on the water tap in his owner's kitchen, causing $5,233 worth of flooding damage.
Wow.
Another customer informed the company that she was cleaning out a fish tank at her home when the dog became snagged on a charging cable and caused her laptop computer to fall into a bucket filled with water.
Dogs. What's
The
wrong?
company said another claim included a dog who spilled paint on their owner's stairs, a dog who spilled bleach on their owner's carpet, a dog who knocked a hot iron onto the carpet, and a dog who got excited to see another canine and knocked over the owner's television.
But you know what? We love them anyway.
Yeah,
and you know what? These dogs have no conscious idea of what
They're
they
not
really
intentionally.
don't know.
No, I don't. Not necessarily.
I know that doesn't help when you owe $5,000 in damages or something that's going on, but that's just kind of interesting.
I
but
try
we
to
love
remind my significant other, because we every now and then we can get irritated with the behaviors of our pets.
them. Like when you put chicken near your grill.
Like when I have all of the chicken cut ready to go and I turn
Right, I
around and the
remember
plate's
that.
empty, I'm like, where'd the chicken go? But
Licking
I
your
said
lips.
this, the amount of sheer joy and unconditional love they bring the other 98% of the time is worth the 2% of when they make a
Always
mistake.
outweighs it. That's very true.
Always outweighs
Very
it.
true. We couldn't have asked for a better dog that we have because she's probably the least trouble of any dog that I've ever had in my entire life because she's just, I don't know what to look. If we ever get another dog in the future, it's going to be a Tasmanian Devil. I can tell right now. I got the next news. Also from UPI, a rare first edition Pokemon card that had been expected to sell for $200,000. Oh, the same beginning price for the Tin Man's oil can. It ended up fetching, $336,000 in an auction. A Pokemon
Isn't that great?
card.
Oh, did you hear about the guy that got busted for lying about COVID expenses?
I did hear about that, and it was Pokemon,
Stole the
right?
money to buy a Pokemon card.
I hope it wasn't this one. Heritage Auction said the Pokemon trading card game number 4, first edition base set trading card, is a highly sought item. I hope it is because I don't know what that means. Among collectors due to its being from the first English language run of Pokemon cards. Well, that's why, because I know nothing about Pokemon except it's like anime. The card sold in the auction in one of the only 121 known examples to have received a perfect 10 rating from its inspectors. Now, that means, I guess, that one's in pretty good shape.
That's
then.
really good shape.
Perfect 10. They also call that a Bo Derek rating for Pokemon cards. Heritage Auction said the cards...
Do they, or did you just add that?
Well, she was a 10 in the
Seems
movie, in the movie
she
10.
was, but I mean, these are kids now we're talking.
Well,
this is
they
probably an
wouldn't get
adult.
it. They wouldn't get it. But you got it, though.
I got it. I wanted to get it.
$336,000, making it the most expensive Pokemon card ever sold by the auction house. Now, the previous record was $300,000. A 1998 Pikachu Illustrator Holo promo card previously made headlines in late February when it reached $900,000. That one fetched almost $1 million.
I'm in the wrong collecting.
The sum is believed to be the highest
clicked the wrong stuff.
price ever paid for a Pokemon card. I hope it's the highest price, because if there was one higher than that, I'd like to see it and know why. I have some things in the base. I have some comic books from the old days, but I don't think I own anything that will bring anything that will help me retire.
I guess at some point, and I know here's the problem. I know the work involved to go through all the comic books and then go online and research each and every one to see if I happen to have a golden
Right.
nugget. I'm just happier not knowing.
Yeah,
just leave it right where it is.
fine. I mean, because if you have a lot of money, you're going to have like tax things. You got to get a personal finance
Right.
person and whatnot. I've always thought about if we won the lottery, what a pain in the butt that
My
would
wife's
be.
like, if you've got a comic book worth $900,000, you're dang well going to do the work to get rid of
What
it.
a pain in the butt it would be to win the lottery. I'm like, you got to go through all this crap.
Who wants all that?
Who wants that? I'm glad being
Be on the
semi-broke.
IRS's radar from now on. Did he file it correctly?
What's he doing with
How
all
much
that
more can we
money,
get
man?
out of him?
How come he just all of a sudden bought a Tesla and an airplane? What's up with him?
Notice when you're kind of poor, the IRS doesn't care about you.
Yeah, I like being off the radar when it comes to that. Oh, I just said that on the air. Well, nobody's listening. It's BK on the air. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll have more of the weird flash the audience stuff.
You don't mind hanging back? You're jamming my frequencies.
Harvey, want anything special for your birthday?
Just a decent cup of coffee.
You're kidding.
I'm serious. Honey, your coffee's undrinkable.
It's pretty harsh.
Well, so's your coffee. You know, the girls down at the office make better coffee on their hot plates. Well, see you later.
And he didn't even kiss me goodbye. You know, if I could just make a decent cup of coffee, I could relax. So, relax. Why don't you try Instant Folgers? Tastes good as fresh perked. Good as fresh perked? I'll surprise Harvey for his birthday tonight.
Hey, great coffee.
It's instant Folgers. Doesn't it taste good as fresh perked?
Better.
Better than those girls make at the office?
Honey, their coffee can't hold a candle to yours.
Instant Folgers taste good as fresh perked. Try it.
It's okay if you don't understand what he's talking about. He probably doesn't either. It's VK on the air on AM 1450, FM 100.3, and online using the Tunein radio app.
Hey, we're back. It's VK on the air. We're going to continue the news flashes. We've got a few more weird and fun things to report here. We were talking off the air about how the blizzard in the southeast hit us back in 1993 in March. And then we had the threat of snow today. Out of nowhere came snow when we were warmer earlier this week and last weekend. And you could never trust March.
Never trust March.
Never trust March. That was when my sister was born in March. I should know better than that, man. And she's been like, oh, never mind.
Problems
I'll get into
in
that.
March.
That's a joke.
Problems.
That's a joke.
Just problems.
That's a joke. He had a brother born in March, too.
Where are all problems from?
What's
March.
going on with March?
March is where they come from.
You cannot trust March.
They march into your life and stomp all over your head.
Can't trust it further than you can throw it.
No. Guess what? I've got the next news.
And we're throwing it around pretty heavily here this morning.
The house made famous by the 1990 film Edward Scissorhands is on sale in Florida for a mere $699,900.
Again, that's much less than that one Pokemon card.
It is. And the residence comes with memorabilia, including a life-size mannequin of the title character. Be kind of creepy looking.
Life-size Anakin?
A life-size, well, not Anakin.
Oh, mannequin.
Mannequin.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Mannequin Skywalker describes how he acted.
Right, yeah.
The Lutz, Florida home, currently owned by Joey Klops, was made famous as the home for the family that took in Johnny Depp's character in the Tim Burton film. Klops had the home remodeled to make the interior resemble the sets that served as the inside of the house in the film, and is stocked with memorabilia, including authentic and reproduced props, an original script used by the movie's prop master, he says pop, but it's prop master, and a life-size Edward Scissorhands mannequin. The exterior of the house has also been decorated with unusual landscaping designed to resemble the topiary art created by Edward.
So it's one of those where they actually made the interior of the house look like the house, which is great. Unlike houses used in movies that look like it on the exterior but look nothing like it on the inside, which I think is interesting.
That's cool. It's a good flick.
Do you remember a couple of weeks ago you brought up that you'd watched E.T., directed by Steven Spielberg, and classic movie, it's considered a classic, and you watched it and you thought it didn't hold up as well the last time
I
you
watched
saw
it and
I
like,
thought
why did this become the phenomenon?
I thought the same way about when I saw Edward Scissorhands again about a year or two ago. I really liked it when it came out. Tim Burton movie, with me, he's hit or miss, one or the other, mostly hit with him. But when I watched it again recently, I'm like, it's not as fondly as I remember this film. I don't know why. I don't hate it or anything. I don't dislike it horribly. I just thought, don't really like it as much as maybe as I used to. And I don't know if that's age or a movie aging, which could be both, I don't know. Some people may like it just as much as they saw it the
realize
first time.
with Tim Burton, he's kind of, we've said this, he's hit or miss, but I love when he does things to sort of creatively disguise when he's kind of commenting on society.
Oh, sure.
The women, the busybodies, the
Right.
colors of the homes, everyone leaving to go to work at the same
pastel
time.
colors, yeah.
It was very clever.
I did think it was awesome, and it was fortunately his last role was Vincent Price was in it as the builder of Edward, and he was very old in the film, and not long after that I think he passed away, but it was cool that he got to do one more iconic kind of a horror Frankenstein type role, which was great. And make no mistake about it, there's another actor, the minute he opens his mouth and talks, Vincent Price had that voice. You imagine him being your dad? Well, if he was your dad, you really wouldn't think anything about it.
Would you like me to read you a story? No!
Sure, Dad, go ahead.
No, Mom! Dad's threatened to read a story.
Can you call me and read it to me over the phone? Be in the other room?
It would still be scary over the phone.
I got the last news.
Pumpkin Philip.
I would give
40
anything
years.
if he would call and read me a story over the phone now.
Well, now,
great. Yeah,
but you
'cause
just said imagine
I
being
was
his
a
kid.
Big fan of his. From UPI, a Texas screening of the Batman was interrupted by something in the state of Texas. What is the most ironic thing that the showing of the movie The Batman at a movie theater could happen?
A bat getting inside the theater?
Did you see this story
No,
already?
but I'm going to guess, given that you're saying what you're saying.
You're a good guesser, Alan. Thank you.
A live bat caused chaos at a Texas screening of The Batman that it was released by a moviegoer as a prank the theater operator confirmed. The showing of the new film, which stars Robert Pattinson as the DC Comics hero, the Batman, movie house and eatery in Sinopolis, it turned into a live show on Friday when someone released a live bat inside the theater. The director of marketing communication for Sinopolis confirmed in a statement Wednesday that the bat's presence was the result of a bat prank. Holy bat prank, Batman. There's a bat in the theater. Videos captured by moviegoers show the bat flying across the screen and fleeing from pursuing cinema employees. Now, I think that's a reverse of people striking fear in the heart of a bat instead of a bat striking fear into the heart of people. It sounds like this poor bat was scared to death, and he didn't want to hurt nobody. He wasn't doing nothing.
Bats are cool, by the way. I like bats.
Are incredibly cool, especially the ones that look like flying foxes and dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they
So
just look
cute.
like little dogs.
They act like it.
And when they show the videos on YouTube, when I go down that hole of them rehabilitating them, and
with like
feeding
eating
them
the
with
grapes
stuff.
and stuff. I'm like,
Just-
you guys are
I
so
want
cute.
a pet bat. They're flying
I would
dogs.
cuddle with one. Come here. Lay down. Licking your nose.
Yeah. Just make sure it's one you can do that with. Yeah. The
My
other
wife was
ones-
like, some dogs are mean. I'm like, well, I haven't met one yet.
And the guy goes, well, you will. He raises up his arm and it's gone. He waves at you with his stump of an arm. Well, some of the bats they don't look like dogs. They have the real weird ones that have the giant kind of ears and the smashed in flat noses and the teeth. And with the vampire bats, they look a little different. But as a whole, when they
Got to go to a different country for that.
when they're walking around upside down, the little flying foxes, the big ones, the orange colored ones that are just holding on with their which were their claws or their wings, they just look so cute because they're crawling toward the rehabilitator, wanting a grape or a little bit of milk or something like that, and they're so cute. I've never been repulsed by bats.
Nope, never.
And what is it with growing up as a kid? I think I've said this before when we were kids. Why were and I don't want to out anybody because of what they are, but it was mostly girls that were afraid of frogs. To me, frogs are the most inoffensive. I mean, they hop. And, Kermit, frogs, they have little eyes and they go ribbit. And they're not really, they're like, where is the fear? How does frogs strike fear into the hearts of girls?
I don't know.
I mean, is it the slimy factor or something? I don't get it. I mean, I know some of them are poisonous and things.
The sudden leap to you, like they just move too fast.
But they're not a snake. They don't bite you like a snake.
No.
They don't kill you.
They don't do
it's
anything.
just a frog.
I don't know.
And they would scream at the top of their lungs when I would have a frog, and I'm like, he's a frog. I mean, I think they're cool. You don't scream at a turtle,
right?
Unless it's an alligator snapping turtle. Those are ones with attitudes. They're just mean. But little box turtles, tortoises, frogs, I didn't get the whole fear of frogs.
No.
I mean, they made a horror movie in the 70s called Frogs. They were frogs attacking people. I'm like, okay.
What are the frogs going to do?
Now, I get it. Frogs are, I've seen some real big ones growing up.
They
You've
don't
ever
even
seen
have
a
teeth.
giant bullfrog that are like huge, and they make the loudest noise. All they're doing is calling to gals in the pond. They're
Right.
like,
Hey, I'm available. Hey, swipe left. Swipe right. No, swipe right. Swipe right, not left. Right.
Leave your email address. I can send you a message.
Am I hot?
You're slimy.
What are you
well,
wearing?
then you should like me.
What are you wearing tonight?
What's wrong with you? You sound like you got a frog in your throat. Can't talk. Yeah, 770-386-1450 if anybody wants to call in. If you were scared of a frog when you were younger, call me and tell me why. Because I've never understood the fear of frogs.
I don't get frogs or toads.
I think they're kind of cute. Frogs
In fact, I had
are
a
cute.
book series I used to hear on record, Frog and Toad Are Friends, by
Right.
Arnold Lobel.
Right. And the song, remember, I don't know if you heard it as a kid, but Burl Ives, the great late Burl Ives, who talked for the Snowman and Rudolph, he was a established actor for many years, made records and albums, singer, folk singer. A lot of folk singers idolized him. He did a children's record that I had as a kid, and one of the songs that he sung was the old standard "Froggy Went a Courtin'." Here's that old song that Andy Griffith used to sing it. Yeah, I'm like they did an animated thing to it, and it's when he's singing it, it's got the frog, playing the banjo, going down the road. It's like, it's a frog. Why are you scared of frogs for?
Right.
I just don't get it. So my grandparents had a home in the country and up on the mountain over in northeast Alabama. And at night the toads would come out and just kind of, you could see them. You just sit in their porch and see them in their driveway and in the yard because they had a long dirt driveway. And sometimes the next day I'd go out and we were leaving after visiting, and I'm like, oh, there's some flat frogs out here.
Car
on the
came
ground. That's terrible. And I hated that as a kid when I saw that. I felt for the frogs. So as a kid, you have a whole different point. And I'd go out and I'd grab them at night. I'm like, oh, can we go out and get the frogs? They're like, yeah, but, growing up in rural Alabama the way I did, we had those old wives' tales got told to us.
Warts.
Don't let a frog pee on you because it causes warts if it does that. I'm like, really? No. And sometimes, what's the first thing a frog will do if you pick it up? It's going to pee on you.
Why? Because it's scared. It's like, look at this giant. You know what?
The giant pick me up. That's what I would do.
I'd probably soil my underwear.
Well, good, because we'd give that giant warts.
Look,
then.
you got a wart.
So, there you go.
Like I just squeezed your eyes out of your head.
You hadn't got enough problems being a giant. So.
Look at his squeeze toy.
Oh, my goodness. It's BK on the air. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to do a story about why the Warner Brothers DC movies have been delayed. They're going to be delayed. And another guy passed away, another actor from a sitcom. Very funny guy. He was on Match Game, a lot of other shows. You'll know who it is as soon as I tell you about it. We'll talk about that. And a 1980 magazine article predicting the future of television. All that in the last half of the show on BK on here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM. WBHF. We're having a good day today, saying a happy birthday to Walt Into Darkness. We said it earlier. We do want to reiterate that. And I know he's having a good time somewhere because he's a newlywed. Speaking on there, I don't know what that means.
Frogs lay hundreds of millions of eggs each year. What if they all hatched? I don't believe it. American International Pictures presents Frogs, the story of the day nature strikes back. One by one, they faced extinction from a slithering tidal wave of terror.
I still believe man is master of the world.
Does that mean he can't live in harmony with the rest of it? Frogs, starring Ray Milland, Sam Elliott, Joan Van Ark, Adam Rourke, and Judy Pace. Frogs, an American International picture, rated PG. Today, the pond. Tomorrow, the world.
Hey, Sergeant, you want some of this new Cool Whip topping?
Later, pile. I'm getting in shape in case our Cool Whip contest winner's a girl. Anybody can win a trip to Hollywood and a guest appearance on the show.
With us?
Yeah. What a prize. Just send your name and address on the side label or write the words Cool Whip on a piece of paper. Get full details at your grocer's freezer. Over 1,000 other prizes, too.
Cool Whip. Shazam.
Hey there, we're back. It's BK on the air here on AM 1450 and 100.3 FM WBHF. You can also stream us at WBHFradio.org or download the free Tunein app or the Radio Garden app. And hear us on either one of those apps as you travel the highways and the byways or on vacation or outer space or wherever you happen to have a signal, dark side of the moon, light side of the moon, heavy side of the moon, wherever you happen to be. Hey, we always like to go back in time here on BK on there. Let's go back and turn on the television somewhere around 1983. Saturday morning, CBS, they used to do a television short because they wanted to make you feel important as kids, and I did as a kid. They had their own version of the news for kids to watch, and it was called In the News with journalist Christopher Glenn from CBS News.
In the news, what went up may begin to come down. When oil prices shot sky high, there was economic panic in many countries. Now some people are afraid oil prices may come down. We'll be back with oil prices in the news. And now, oil prices in the news. For 10 years, oil prices have been pushed higher and higher and higher by a group of oil-producing nations known as OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Petroleum is another word for oil, and exporting means that these nations sell their oil to other countries. At its recent meeting in Geneva, Switzerland, OPEC wanted to keep oil prices up by pumping less oil, but OPEC's members could not agree on details.
No, it's a complete failure.
Now, oil experts expect oil prices to go down. There is simply more oil available than is needed. In the late 1970s, rising oil prices encouraged people to save energy in general and use less oil in particular. OPEC's high prices also speeded up the development of oil sources outside of OPEC. in Alaska, the North Sea, and Mexico. Now, non-OPEC oil fields outproduce OPEC oil fields. The first benefits from lower oil prices should come in the form of reduced prices for gasoline and heating fuel. Cheaper oil is bad news, though, for countries that depend on oil exports. And it's bad news for bankers who have loaned billions of dollars to countries that had expected to pay the money back out of new riches from high-priced oil. I'm Christopher Glenn with Oil Prices in the News.
Into the news on CBS Saturday mornings. Seems like we've always had a problem one way or the other with oil and gas and stuff, and it's never been one person's fault, but it's always somebody's fault.
At the root of it is when there are people who interfere with the supply of
Right, it's the supply. So yeah, that's right. So,
basic law of supply and demand.
And I did that because it'll segue us right into On This Day in History.
Oh, I thought you were going to have me take over.
Oh no, you go. What?
You know, my show spins down. We go from heavy news to lighter. I figured you were going to spin it back up.
You can in September. I'm going to be out 2 Saturdays in September.
In a row?
Because we're going to go to the beach and to Orlando. So it's going to be 2 Saturdays. You and Walt maybe can cover for me.
You'll be 3 weeks between being live?
And I'm going to hate it. I know I'll be at Universal.
How
and
do
the
you
beach,
know Walt will be here?
Well, I don't know. He might be. All right, let me change it. You'll be here. Walt might be here. So
no matter,
because he can cover now, and he has less to do to cover for me. He just
maybe we'll get
the
phones working by then, and we can.
That'd be great. You
have
guys
some
could be
people
on
join
Zoom.
us.
March the 12th. Today is March the 12th. On this day in history, 1894, Coca-Cola is sold in bottles for the very first time on this day in history in Vicksburg, Mississippi.
1894.
Yeah,
wow.
First time in bottles in 1894. On this day in history, 1912, the Girl Guides forms in Savannah by Juliet Gordon Lowe. Oh, they changed their name to the Girl Scouts. But they were the Girl Guides in 1912 when they first started on this day.
And now we're dealing with Girl Guys, so whatever.
When I was a little kid, I got taught this really weird saying, and it rhymes. I don't know if I'll say the whole thing, but I would hold up my fingers and I go, as a Boy Scout, I would do my duty and my best to help all Girl Scouts be their best. Yeah, that's how it went. Yeah, that's the thing. 1951, on this day in history, the comic strip Dennis the Menace first appears in the British comic magazine The Beano on this day. And I didn't know it was in a British magazine.
I didn't either.
That's one of those shows I didn't want to miss. It was Dennis the Menace as a kid. I loved that television series. I remember Dennis the Menace in the afternoons being right up against Spider-Man, the cartoon. They'd show him back to back. And Flipper about the porpoise, the dolphin.
Was Dennis the Menace drawn by or the same guy as the guy that did Family Circus?
I don't know. It certainly looks like it, doesn't it? It's very close. Yeah, very close. We have to look that up. It's only one. 1971, on this day in history, the Allman Brothers record their live album Live at Fillmore East on this date and the following day, March the 12th and the 13th. Another great live album by a rock band. You know, I found out what the most successful live album has ever been in rock history, and I did not know this. You want to take a stab? This is just a side note here. What the most famous, at least several articles I looked up, they said this was the most famous successful live album.
Famous or successful?
Well, it's together. It's the most successful. It says the most successful live album of any artist in history, of any live album, and I didn't know that. Now it's a very popular live album that I don't happen to care for that much, but it's actually the number one live album, and I can't believe it. You want to take a guess?
Is it like an Eagles live?
No, it's actually a single artist, a guy.
Oh, is it like Neil Diamond?
No.
Elvis?
No. I was thinking it was Elvis, like live in Memphis or Honolulu or Aloha or wherever he was. No, it's actually Peter Frampton Comes Alive, the Peter Frampton album.
I would have never, if you had given me another 20 minutes to guess.
I don't think I would have guessed it. I would have guessed all the ones you were talking about, as part of them, but it was the most.
Because I would have gone to Elton John, Billy Joel.
1972, the number one Billboard song 50 years ago. 1972 was 50 years ago. What was number one on the charts? You want to take a stab at it? It's by a soul artist.
But 72. See, I could do 82 better.
Yeah, but I just threw.
I was only two at the time.
82 hadn't changed from the last 2 or 3 weeks. The song hadn't changed, so I wasn't going to do it again. But it's Let's Stay Together by Al Green was the number one song 50
Don't know
years
if I
ago.
even know. I may have heard it.
I'm a fan of Al Green. My wife and I both like Al Green, so it's a really good song. I think Tina Turner re-recorded that in the 80s, I think. 1973, The last episode of a show aired in 1973 on NBC, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, aired their last episode in 1973. Now, that reminds me of a time that my dad and I, back in the late 80s, were watching, I'll have to do this when we come back from break, we were watching Nick at Night. And Nick at Night used to rerun shows at night, and Laugh-In was one of the shows that they'd show. And Dad used to watch Laugh-In because it was a product of the 60s. And he goes, hey, let's watch Laugh-In tonight. Let's pop some popcorn. We'll hang out and watch some Laugh-In. And I said, okay, I got nowhere to go tonight. But if I did, Dad, I wouldn't be here. I regret that now. I shouldn't think that way. If I have a date, Dad, I'm going to be gone. But we were watching Laugh-In. I'm going to play you a soundbite from an episode that we saw one night of Laugh-In, again, that eerily predicted the future. I'm like, how did they do it on Laugh-In? So we're going to take a break. I'll play that Laugh-In clip and do the rest of On This Day in History and what national day and birthdays it is today. It is March the 12th. It's BK on there. We got it all nostalgic and geek.
And now these messages.
He's a-coming! He's a-coming! There's gonna be a gunfight!
There's a brand new bubble gum in town named Hubba Bubba. It's soft, juicy, and delicious. Best of all, Hubba Bubba lets you blow great, big, fat bubbles that won't stick to your face.
That's gun my bubble gum.
Big bubbles, no troubles.
You have a bubble gum.
Woo! This is Dr. Johnny Fever with a prescription for those Monday night blues. WKRP in Cincinnati.
Tomorrow and every Monday at 8, 7 Central and Mountain.
Take only as directed.
This is CBS.
Hey, we're back. It's BK on the air here on WBHF. Let's continue with On This Day in History. Where did I leave off? Oh, I know where I left off. 1973, the last episode of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In aired on NBC TV. I was watching Laugh-In with my dad many years ago in I think it was the late 80s, early 90s. Nick at Night used to show Laugh-In and a lot of the other classic shows at night. And they were showing Laugh-In one night. One of the episodes, I'll play the clip from the episode from Laugh-In, and you tell me what's eerie about the what he says on this episode.
Berlin, 20 years from now, 1989. There was dancing in the streets today as East Germany finally tore down the Berlin Wall.
That's a clip from Laugh-In from the late 60s.
That's
from
crazy.
1960, from I think it's 69.
That's...
What year did the Berlin Wall come down? 1989.
89.
Now, they didn't give the month there on that Laugh-In clip.
Wait, I'm okay with them predicting the year.
That's the year from Laugh-In in 1969. 20 years later. Isn't that strange and weird and pretty cool all at the same time? On this day in history in 2021, just not too long ago, March the 12th.
Sorry, I got it. This popped in my head.
What?
Have you not seen where people are reposting the Simpsons episode from about 20 years ago? Where it's like, you thought the Soviet Union was gone.
The Simpsons predicted a lot, too, really, as a joke, and it was true.
Well, they predicted Donald Trump coming down the escalator.
Yep. Should we just rewatch The Simpsons?
Apparently, we should go back and look for nuggets of where the espionage is getting its messages.
Let's watch The Simpsons and go to Vegas and make some bets on some things. See if we can't make some money in the future. 2021, on this day in history, March 12th. Researchers say the world has likely reached peak twin, with more twin births than ever before in 2021. 1.6 million twins born per year, 1 in 42.
Wow.
Back in 2021. That was an interesting fact I thought I'd throw out there. Birthdays today, March 12th. Let's throw them out there. 1931, William Thomas Anderson was born. Billy Anderson, who you might better know him as Buckwheat on The Little Rascals in our gang. He died in 1980.
Okay.
I think the last thing I ever saw him in was a Sanford and Son episode. He was Fred got a pool table as a present from Lamont for his birthday, and it got to be just too much because Fred, that's all he would do is play pool, have his friends over. They hated it. He's like, I think we need to sell this pool table. And I think the kid that played Buckwheat, or Stymie, I can't remember which one, showed up on Sanford and Son to buy the table from him. I think that might have been the last thing I saw him in, but I'm not sure. It might have been Stymie, not Buckwheat, so I don't know. I'm just using my memory, which is really bad here. But 1933, Barbara Feldon was born on this day in 1933, celebrating a birthday. She's an American actress. She was best known as Agent 99 on Get Smart. 1940, American jazz singer Al Jarreau was born on this day in history. Breaking Away, We're in This Love Together, the theme to Moonlighting. He had a lot of songs. He died in 2017. I forgot that he had passed away. 1948, another musical birthday today. James Taylor. Guy had a lot of hits, Fire and Rain, You've Got a Friend. Singer, songwriter, guitarist. I think for a while there he was married to Carly Simon, I think, at one point. And also today, it's Frank Welker's birthday. He's a voice actor. If I went through all the voices that Frank Welker did, he did Scooby-Doo, not Scooby-Doo, the blonde-haired guy on Scooby-Doo. What's the cool guy?
Fred.
Fred. I think he did Fred's voice. He did so many voices, just like Mel Blanc and a lot of these guys. Frank Welker, birthday today. I think Pat McCormick, when he hosted the animated the awards for the animation out in California,
the
I think
Hall
a
of
year or
Fame.
two ago, I think they talked about Fred Welker at one point, or he may have even won something. I don't know. It's always a National Something Day. Today is no exception. Today is National Baked Scallops Day. Best baked scallops we ever had in our lives was a restaurant in Orange Beach, Alabama, called the Louisiana Lagniappe. And when we go there, we're like, we know what we want as an appetizer. Bring the scallops. Just bring the scallops.
Scallops are good.
They're so good. Today, of course, since it's 1912, the Girl Guides formed, Girl Scouts in Savannah. Today is National Girl Scout Day today. And I think both of our boxes of cookies are gone. It took us about just a few days to go through one box of, what's the ones, the peanut butter ones covered with chocolate again? Are they the Do-Si-Dos? I can't remember what they are. We had a box of those and the coconut ones. I never remember the names of them. I just know what they look like.
Samoa. Isn't that the coconut?
I guess. So they're gone. They're history. I think I ate 3 of them. They went somewhere. Who took care of them?
Turn around, you'll find them.
I don't know. I don't want to say anything else, or I
Look
may
in the
not
mirror.
have a show again.
Hey, there they are.
Today is National Plant a Flower Day.
Oh, no, don't do that. It's too cold.
Yeah, wait till tomorrow, or maybe just wait a few hours. The
At least
weather
till
will change.
Monday.
It's hot in here. I need to take my jacket off. Today is National Working Moms Day. I salute you. My mom was one for many, many years after she divorced my dad. So salute to all you national working moms out there. So what the heck? National Working Dads, too. A lot of people work.
Everyone
I'm a
works.
working empty nester.
Well, I take that back. A lot of people got used to being paid not to work, and now they feel like they don't ever have to.
Isn't that funny?
Yay. Let's hear it for thinking forward.
I don't know if I have time to do this, but let's go ahead and try to do this. From Variety, Aquaman 2, Flash, Shazam 2, they're all delayed until 2023 as Warner Brothers releases and does the date shuffle.
I thought they were bringing Shazam up and pushing the other ones back.
I don't know. I've seen 2 or 3 different articles that say the same thing. Warner Brothers.
Because I did hear that Aquaman 2 and Flash were both like in issue. Like there were some serious problems. They were going to put it back to 2023.
Well, this says Aquaman the Lost Kingdom. They all have subtitles now. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and The Flash are both being pushed from 2022 to 2023 due to COVID-induced production delays with visual effects, it says. The Jason Momoa starring sequel is being pushed back from December 16th to March 17th of 2023. Meanwhile, Ezra Miller's first solo outing as The Flash is speeding away from November 4th, 2022 to June the 23rd, 2023. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam, which is kind of a flip side of Shazam character, is being pushed back 3 months to October the 21st, 2022. And DC Leagues of Super Pets, I didn't even know about this one, is moving to July 29th of 2022, which was Black Adam's original release date. Super Pets, in which Dwayne Johnson voices Superman's canine best friend Krypto the Superdog. It was previously dated for May the 20th. Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And by the way, I like Shazam. I like the first Shazam film. I thought it was a family-friendly Deadpool, where it was kind of breaking the wall sometimes and being clever. It's the only movie to move up a few months. The Zachary Levi, so you're right, they moved Shazam up, flying from June the 2nd, 2023 to December 12th. 2022, just in time for the Christmas season. I saw 2 different conflicting reports on that. That's weird.
Now, that's when I heard
that's
that one was more in development. They were like,
Right.
well, if we're going to push these other ones back, can we push this other one up so we're not going to have too long of a void?
And by the way, certain people that might have been in the original Shazam television series in the 70s are being mighty quiet about this one, so I don't know what that means. That's all I'll say about that. We're thrilled. It says, we're thrilled to bring Shazam Fury of the Gods to audiences as a Christmas gift this year. Jeff Goldstein from Warner Brothers, president of the domestic distribution, says families of all ages will really enjoy it. Well, that just kind of proves that it might be like the first film. Everybody can see it because there were a lot of kids in the first film.
Well, I mean, let's face it, he's a kid in
right,
the movie.
He's a kid anyway. He was much younger in the comic. The movies are much more representative of the way the comic book was than the 70s show with Michael Gray. Now, I love the 70s show with Michael Gray in its own way. He was still playing Billy Batson. That turns into Shazam when he yells it. Did you know once in the comic book, I think it was just once, it might have been more than once, one of the limited series they did Shazam, and they tried to make it not adult, but a little more realistic, giving him problems and things that happen in dramatic things. He didn't really understand what was going on, and he wasn't being careful. And I think once he turned into Shazam, because when he yells Shazam, as a lightning bolt hits, it's a real one, it's powerful. He turned into Shazam once, and I think someone died that was close by, or an animal died when the lightning bolt hit him. He was too close to something, and that really affected him as a kid. He's like, I can't believe I killed something when I turned into Shazam. Isn't that weird? I just think he should just yell at Shazam when a villain's about to grab him.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That would take out anybody.
That's called a 2-for-1.
Warner Brothers is coming off a hot start to 2022 with DC Comics' The Batman, which I have not seen yet, but now I'm thinking more like, do I want to go see it in a theater or stream it? I originally wanted to stream it, but I'm hearing a lot of good stuff about it. I'm hearing some bad stuff and things, but I don't know. The Batman opened to a hot start. It's $134 million at the domestic box office on its opening weekend, which is the best debut of 2022 and the second highest launch of the pandemic era, right behind Spider-Man: No Way Home. So there's some numbers for you about the Batman.
I've
which
heard
is DC, by the way.
from
so
a
keep
lot
talking. I
of
won't
people,
take off my jacket.
A lot of people with the Batman. And it feels like there's more who liked it than not, but a handful of people that I really kind of see eye to eye with were like, don't bother. So I'm like, okay, I got a more than not saying it was good, it was enjoyable, they like the detective work, they like the more realistic car, they like the
I hear this one has the most detective type stuff in it, which is
But then
great.
the handful of people that I'm kind of like close to were like, yeah, save your money. I'm like, okay, so which do I believe?
I'll mirror you when you say that, and they're also complaining about it with complaints that I would not like. They're doing stuff in it where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't like that either. That's true.
I wonder if it's an age range where if you're a millennial and younger, you're like, oh, that's cool. Batman's embracing these different ideologies. And if you're like Gen X and older, you're going, this has no place in a Batman movie.
Right.
I don't know.
I also hear that the one thing that we may not have a problem with, which is getting high marks, are the performances of the actors. I hear that Pattinson's great. Maybe not so much as Bruce Wayne, but more as Batman. Of course, everyone can play Batman. Okay.
I've heard nothing but great stuff about what's his name that's playing Penguin.
Colin Farrell.
Colin Farrell.
I've heard, and he just disappears in a row. We talked about that.
And
the
that
other guy playing the Riddler, who actually plays more of a serial
Someone said it's
killer.
too dark because he's like he's really hurting people. Like, well, duh.
He's a villain, yeah.
Like, was the Joker not a dark character?
And Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, as Selena Kyle, gets big marks. I think what was the last thing I saw her in was Mad Max. She was one of the Morton Joes.
One of the Morton
ladies
Joes, yeah.
That she kidnapped, yeah. So a train going by.
I can't
if
hear you
it,
right now. The sounds like a train going by.
There's a train going by. Why do they put train tracks by these theaters and radio stations? I have no idea why, but we'll deal with it. When we come back, I'm going to talk about a great sitcom actor and a funny guy who passed away, and I'll have that 1980 magazine article who eerily predicted the television's future. It's BK on the Air.
Marty, shh, you'll scare the fish.
But we're missing the big football game.
Relax. My VHS home video recorder is taping it right now.
Terrific.
Watch.
Terrific. But suppose it's over 3 hours.
Relax. Panasonic VHS tapes up to 4 hours of sports, movie specials on one cassette.
Wow. This VHS is for me. We caught the whole game.
Best catch of the day.
Yeah.
VHS, the 4-hour system from Panasonic and other leading companies.
Wake up, campers. Time for breakfast.
Got it, Mom.
You can't have cookies for breakfast.
But you can have Cookie Crisp. You can have that crunchy cookie taste with lots of chocolatey chips.
Hey, it looks like little chocolate chip cookies
that stay crispy in milk.
It's part of a complete breakfast. So just remember this. You can have Cookie Crisp.
You can get 4 Superstar baseball cards free in specially marked boxes of Donkey Kong Jr., and Cookie Crisp cereals. 33 cards in all.
And now back to the guy who can actually walk and chew gum at the same time. It's BK on the Air.
Yeah, it's just the whole rub my stomach and pat my head at the same time that I don't have that I have a problem with. Can you do that?
I can.
We already tried one thing with you in the studio not too long ago. I told you to take one hand and point your index finger out each index finger at each other and take one hand and go clockwise and turn the other one counterclockwise and keep
this
it
is
going.
clockwise.
Keep it going steadily.
And
You're trying it right
counterclockwise
now.
is going to be this way.
But you got to keep them going. Eventually, they will change to the same thing if you try it. Your brain won't allow you to do that.
I feel like I've suddenly something broke inside. This is like a visual description of a stroke happening.
Now, what I want you to do is take these 3 Rubik's Cube and solve them with your feet while you're standing on your hands.
I can't solve one with my eyes open in a day.
Do that one now. By the way, we've had some cold weather here in the Southeast. It was
still going to be cold.
Never trust March. We had a huge blizzard in '93 here in Southeastern Atlanta, in the Atlanta area, North Georgia, back in '93. And buddy, I had drifts where we were living at the time. I mean, I had half of my car was buried on that day.
Where we lived, 3 or 4 foot wind drifts. It was easily 3 or 4 feet deep.
That just
crazy.
proves,
I was like, how is that possible in Georgia?
And we had snow the past 24 hours. We've had some snow, just a little bit. So and it's about near the anniversary of the '93
We're getting
blizzard.
within a couple days.
Which is proof. What did we say about March? Never trust March.
Never trust March.
And other reasons you can't trust March. My sister was born in March, and oh boy, that's a joke.
March birthdays are bad.
I came in last night. Forgot about it. It was getting cold last night, and it was a big to-do at the house because I left the garage door open when I came in, But I remembered that it was open. But it was a big deal when I left the garage door open. I'm like, well, what's the big deal?
The shield doors must be closed. Close the doors.
Yes, sir. R2 says the chances of survival are 725 to 1. Actually, R2 has been known to make mistakes from time to time.
But, I went out there and closed the door. It was just a big deal. I don't know why everybody made such a big deal out of it.
My tauntaun froze before I got to the first marker.
Well, I'll see you in hell.
Are the speeders ready? Having a little trouble adapting them to the cold.
It is strange when you're in the 70s, upper 70s,
Last weekend,
my dad always says,
mowed the lawn.
Don't worry, man, about the weather in the South. It'll change in a couple hours. So just give it a couple hours.
Yeah.
It'll be all right.
For all of our joking around, I was very happy that I got a chance to at least see one more little bit of snow before winter base. I mean, we're going to lose an hour of sleep tonight. We got to set the clocks ahead. You're going to be back in. We're going to start thinking about longer days, hanging out on the deck.
But this is the way I like the clocks coming up. That's the way I wish it would stay all the time.
Well, remember.
Yeah.
I know you don't get too political, but
but
remember,
this
the
not political.
Georgia legislature passed the law
common sense.
that said, yes, we agree. Let's all stay on daylight saving time.
Right.
More people than not like the longer days because when you work all day, you come home, you still want to have a couple hours of sunshine. You can enjoy the sun. You can go out in the back.
I don't mind if it's dark in the morning.
And I was told by our U.S. congressman that it was pushed up to the federal level, and Nancy Pelosi said, we're not going to let Georgia vote on this.
The big guys sent it back,
They said, no.
Okay.
We've got bigger things to worry about.
Even if they change it and we get rid of it and we go to the way it was, that's fine with me. Just pick one. I'll be happy, and I'll just live with it that way.
I'm sick of the change. I mean, I know I've lived with it my whole life, but honestly, it's
well, I've always asked, why do we do it?
It's mentally deficient.
Why do we do it still? And everybody I've ever asked that's supposed to be in the know about these things, or relatives that know-it-alls that I have, give me a different reason. Well, it's because the farmers. Oh, well, no, it's because of the rotation of the earth. Oh, no, it's because of the mindset of people who used to get up early in the morning and plow the fields. I'm like, in other words, there's no good reason to keep doing it. Just quit doing it.
No, there's no good reason. It was all about an agrarian time, 19th century, early 20th century, but it doesn't make any sense anymore.
How are you getting more time back? You're not.
It's still the
time
same
is the
24-hour day.
Time is the same no matter how you change it.
You're just shifting the window.
So stupid. It's stupid. Stop that. Okay, I'm all right. I'm back now.
I'm back to now angry.
We did have another actor pass away. We talked about Luis from the Sesame Street passed away. A part of my childhood died. Well, someone else passed away this week as well.
Evening, folks. What you want here, Bookman? Ain't nobody called for the janitor. You just don't appreciate me, Evans. As a matter of fact, your wife called about a leaky pipe, so naturally I rushed right up here.
Well, you must have come by way of covered wagon, because I called you 6 weeks ago. Anyway, James already fixed that pipe.
Oh, that's bad, Evans. I hate this, but I'm going to have to report you. It clearly states in your lease, tenants ain't supposed to touch the plumbing.
It also states tenants ain't supposed to live in a lake.
I got a lot of calls, Miss Evans. These things take time.
Yeah, I can imagine. Probably took about 4 weeks to drag that lard up the stairs.
Round rascal. Hey, a little snack. Don't mind if I do.
Maybe you don't, but I do.
Now, is that any way to treat the head janitor?
Listen, Mr. Booger.
Bookman.
Booger. For the last 10 weeks, I've been telling you I got a broken light switch in my living room. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah, well, I'll try to squeeze it into my schedule.
Well,
why don't you see, can you squeeze your hocks through that doorway? You know, you just can't be nice to you people. You people? Get out of here, Buffalo Buck. Come on. Hey, Miss Williams, you know I was just on my way up to your place.
Good, cause I ain't there.
Johnny Brown there from
That's a funny
Good
show.
Times. Yeah,
that
Good
was
Times.
a funny show.
Another fantastic spinoff that Norman Lear put together, which was actually they all could be traced back to All in the Family. All in the Family spun off Maude. Maude was Edith's cousin. Maude had a housekeeper named Florida who was Esther Roll, who went on to be in Good Times with her family. She quit working for Maude and made her own show. What else spin off from All in the Family? Gloria had her own show, which didn't last but not quite a season. All in the Family turned into Archie Bunker's Place after a while.
What about George
and the Jeffersons?
The Jeffersons.
Jeffersons were the Bunker's neighbors next door to All in the Family. He opened up his own dry cleaning company and became successful.
He started moving on up.
And he started moving up to the east side. So the Jeffersons as well. One of the most, All in the Family was a groundbreaking series, which Jackie Gleason was first asked to play Archie Bunker, and he turned it down because he thought it was a little too crude for what he did. So then he went on to do Smokey and the Bandit. No, that wasn't crude at all. I don't get that logic. But the reason I play the soundbite from Good Times and Bookman, the janitor, the superintendent of the building, is Johnny Brown passed away. He's best remembered as the building superintendent Nathan Bookman in Good Times. He was Buffalo Butt. He was versatile as he was funny. He could sing, dance, act, tell jokes, and do spot-on impersonations of Louis Armstrong and many others. I've seen him do his stand-up and his impersonations. He was great. He's been on the Dean Martin roasts, doing his thing, and on Match Game as a panelist. His talents made him a perfect fit as a regular performer in 3 seasons of the wild sketch show Laugh-In. We just talked about Laugh-In, and he was on Laugh-In as well. Now, before joining Laugh-In in 1970, Brown appeared on a variety of programs like The Ed Sullivan Show, Della, and The Leslie Uggam Show. He also guest starred in a 1969 episode of the groundbreaking Diane Carroll sitcom Julia. About Diane Carroll played a nurse in the television series Julia. Brown later found out he owed his spot on Laugh-In to Sammy Davis Jr. as well. At dinner with Dan Rowan and Dick Martin, and that was Dan Rowan you heard do that prediction about the Berlin Wall earlier on the Laugh-In, the clip I played. Dan Rowan and Dick Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. suggested Johnny Brown as a new addition to Laugh-In. Brown did not let his famous pal down, performing in 52 episodes of the sketch series before 1972. And after appearing in shows like Rod Serling's Night Gallery, Maude, The Rookies, Brown won his role he's best known for Nathan Bookman in Good Times. He joined during the show's second season to play the building superintendent and the subject of constant teasing, as you heard by the Evans family. Though he didn't say anything at the time, the ribbing rubbed Brown the wrong way. After Good Times, Brown's guest starred in Archie Bunker's Place with Carol O'Connor, The Jeffersons, and Fantasy Island, of course, as a completely different character. He later appeared in the 90s favorite like Martin, Family Matters, Sister, The Jamie Foxx Show, Touched by an Angel, and Kenan and Kel. I didn't know that he was in those later shows. Brown continued to work in movies and television well into his 70s. He passed away last week at the age of 84. So wow. He was a funny guy. If you ever heard him do his impression, he could do John Wayne. He could do a lot of impersonations, and I had no idea that he did that. And sometimes he'd do them on Good Times. They had, I think there was a Good Times episode where they did a talent show to raise some money to pay someone's rent, and they let Bookman on there to do his act and his impressions and stuff. Johnny Brown passed away at 84. Lost 2 guys, Johnny Brown and Louise from Sesame Street. We're losing them, and I don't like it, but it's a fact of life.
Because that means we're going to be next.
Oh. Yeah, well, eventually. Let's hope it's a long, long time. Let's be on there.
Hey, what do you love about freshen up gum? Love that squirt. What do you love when you bite into one? Love that squirt.
Freshen Up freshens breath with a tingly liquid center. One bite squirts refreshment all over your breath.
Freshen your breath with Freshen Up. The gum that goes squirt. Love that squirt.
Get your skis shined up. a stick of juicy fruit. The taste is gonna move ya. Take a sniff, pull it out. The taste is gonna move you when you pop it in your mouth. Juicy fruit is gonna move ya. It juices soft, it gets right to ya. Juicy fruit, the taste is gonna move ya.
You're listening to BK on the Air. This is Mrs. BK, and I'm not listening now because, well, I sleep in every Saturday morning. But I'll catch him later on the BK Escape Pod podcast. Now, back to that man of mine, BK on the Air. Mwah.
Oh, caught it right there. Thank you, honey. She does sleep in. She doesn't listen to the show. She can hear it on the podcast if she wants to. Sometimes she'll wake up, like, within the last 10 minutes and hear us, like, the last 10 minutes of the show, you know, and that's usually when I say something really horrible that she hears. I'm like, you never listen when I say the good stuff.
Right.
Just like your wife.
We have
It's the same way it works.
I think it's a female gene.
Levi's
Somebody's saying something wrong about me.
I got to listen to it. We've been talking about predicting the future, which is weird. Sometimes people do it accidentally. Sometimes they think really hard and are able to do it. I got an article here written by someone at the Decades staff at decades.com. It's the Decades channel, Decades website. It's called a 1980 magazine article about the future of TV, and they got it spot on, with a few ridiculous exceptions. Listen to this. Let's think back to the way it was in 1980. You know, the way you and I refer to it as, oh, The Empire Strikes Back was out. That's when we were. That's when we were there. You know, that's the sense that we were in. What can print your plane tickets, find the kids, and beat you at chess? Asked the headline of a 1980 article in the entertainment magazine Panorama. The answer? Television, of course, or at least the television in the far future of the year 2000, maybe, they say in 1980. Writer and consumer electrics expert David Lackerberg laid out how the technology available at the time in 1980 was leading to a place where TV would be the center around which most 21st century activity revolves. And in many ways, he was right. He imagines a future where the hundreds of channels are available at our fingertips and can be scrolled through easily using a digital remote control panel. He said he even foreseed the DVR. If there are two good shows on at the same time, you direct one to storage. When it comes on, it's automatically recorded for you to view whenever you wish. You don't have to touch the video recorder, which is kept out of sight in a component cabinet. Everything is controlled from the wireless touchpad panel, unquote, he said in 1980. Another improvement he predicts is the flat screen TV, writing, quote, the picture will be freed from the tube. He calls it a video terminal as opposed to a television set. One of the most precise images of the whole article is the description of cable and satellite TV. Quote, the vast majority of TV and town video terminals will be connected to what probably will still be called the cable. That's another word for it, because it will consist of bundles of high-capacity glass fibers in place of electrical cable capable of carrying hundreds of channels on modulated laser light beams. Many rural homes and some city ones will have small, dish-like rooftop or windowsill antennas to pick up programs directly from space satellites, unquote, he said. While television beamed from space seemed anything but noteworthy these days, 40 years ago, or a little over 40 years ago in 1980, was well out of this world, he said. He also predicted the home desktop computer with eerie accuracy. Quote, at your desk, either in the viewing room or in a study with its own satellite screen, is a typewriter-like keyboard. Any family member of the family can use this to address a central community or national computer, calling up all kinds of materials from the information bank, unquote. Oh,
kind of like the internet.
Like calling it the internet, yeah. Now he continues.
I like a national computer bank.
Information bank, which is also kind of a correct term to call it. You could call it that, too. Quote, in addition to displaying textual material, it also provides color pictures, diagrams, and animation on request. Being a two-way system, it can, for example, display on request a timetable of all flights to Phoenix and make a reservation for you. Your desk may also contain a printout device to make typed copies of any text material that appears on the screen. This description
Who
of
prints anymore?
unquote. Now, this description of a home office sounds quaint by today's standards, but it also is very close to a reality, especially for the year 2000. See, he's talking about the year 2000 here in the year 1980. Of course, like any attempt to tell the future, there are some things that are way off. While Lackenbrook correctly anticipates email, he doesn't get close knowing how it would actually be implemented. Or made or implemented, he says. Quote, most miraculous of all, thanks to the central computer and the wideband two-way information pipe, America will finally solve its mail problem. The Postal Service can actually look forward to making a profit from instantaneous electronic mail. A simple attachment will allow letters to be sent between any two video terminals directly for display on the video screen or for reproduction on paper, unquote. Another wild guess? Tracking children with electronic locators. What's the one that you can get for your children? They call it Digital Angel. That's the one that's still out there that you can have implanted to your kids in case they get kidnapped or lost or whatever. Kind of gives me the creeps, but
no, I'm at
that's
the point
another
where
issue.
The people are so old. We're looking at what's that other commercial? Visiting Angel.
Oh, the Visiting Angel. That's a whole different type. Yeah. Why are we using angels in that context? That's. Ugh.
You're about to meet them.
I know, and I don't want to meet them for as long as possible. Quote, another video terminal add-on helps keep track of our children. Each of your offspring has a tiny electronic locator button sewn into his or her clothing. This is clothing here instead of under the skin. When you press the locate key on your home terminal, a map of the neighborhood appears on the screen with a different colored dot indicating the location of each child, unquote. Now, we already have that. Oh, we have them for pets, too, the implants for pets. Locators sewn into the clothing reads like pure science fiction, but the reality to track smartphones with GPS in the ever-decreasing age at which kids get such devices means that parents can now keep track of their offspring by seeing dots on a map. Seeing predictions of the future or how very much in our past is a reminder of just how far technology has come in the past half century. That's the way it looks. It makes you wonder what entertainment will be like 20 years from now, and if we could even try to accurately predict any part of it. So there you go. I thought that was an interesting article from Decades from a magazine in 1980 called Panorama in 1980, trying to predict what it would be like in the year 2000.
Got
and
a lot of it right.
A lot of it right. I mean, just different words and
yeah,
terms.
but the concepts were the same.
The concept. So where do you see us going? I'm gonna say where I see some things going. What can you predict that you think?
I've already said this.
I won't hold you to this.
I've said this for a while with my kids. I said we're going to get to the point, whether it's glasses or I imagine contact lenses.
Right.
That the contact lenses will be hooked into the Wi-Fi, will be hooked via your cell phone or other device that will be able to, in your own view, display information. It'll sort of like hover in front of you.
Right.
Nobody else will see it because it's on your island.
What is it? What's the glasses we have now? The Oculus. What's it called?
Oculus. Walking up to somebody and digital face recognition, it pulls
Tells
up,
you exactly who it
goes
is.
to their social media, and you get their you know who they are, who they're related to, their birthday, all the information because it's already out there.
That's scary. It's just kind of scary.
And I said I would not be surprised if we get to the point where you'll have an ocular implant. You'll have something to help you, and you can turn it off if you don't want to see it floating, but you won't have to look at a screen anymore.
Right.
Because if you want to watch a movie,
it'll just come up in front of you
come
virtually.
up and it will look like it's floating in front of you.
A good way to imagine and describe to someone how that will look is how it pops up in front of Tony Stark when he's Iron Man. That's how it's going to look. It's like he sees things inside his helmet.
Well, any kind of a heads-up display when you see it projected on glass or in the movies.
It's extremely simple how they did it, but my wife's new Acura and a lot of the new cars have heads-up display on your windshield.
Mm-hmm.
Stacy's Acura, you're going down the road, the speedometer, everything that comes up like a call or what radio station's playing, it's on the glass right in the lower part of your vision when you're looking out across your dashboard above the speedometer. It's all displayed right up there on her windshield via just a little screen. All it's doing is reflecting it on the glass. It's very simple how they do that, but it's already in the cars kind of like that. And I think it's kind of neat. I don't think it's necessary because to see how fast I'm going, I have to look 3 inches just below that to the speedometer. I'm not looking up much higher to see it up there, but it's kind of a cool little gimmick.
No, I
kind
think
of cool thing. So
I mean anything that can, if you're getting information while you're still able to see around
you don't have to look all the way over to the infotainment center to see what radio or Sirius XM is playing. It's just all displayed for you right there, and it's not that much of a distraction. So,
no, I think we're going to continue to see, obviously, the internet when we go to 5G, and that's the big issue.
Yeah.
Like how quickly can we get to 5G? Because think about the leap in what apps and things can do when we went from 3 to 4G. If we go when we go to 4 to 5G, that's not just one generation. That's like quadrupling the speed, the data. Think about how much apps could do with that much more bandwidth. And it's both crazy, like exciting, and crazy scary all at the same time.
And I'm sure people in the 60s and the 50s, when they were hearing stuff that were going to be in the future, were kind of saying the same thing. Oh, it's kind of scary hearing about that whole thing that's coming that you have in the 70s. I don't know about that. So I guess every generation is kind of fearful from some of it. I think it's probably, now you made your prediction. I'm predicting probably Mad Max or Terminator. That's what I'm thinking might happen.
You may end up being closer based on what's happening recently.
To be that. Let's be clear. I don't want it to
I don't have a
into
positronic backpack just yet.
It might be that instead. I don't know. I had friends that loved playing role-playing games in the 80s called Car Wars.
I played Car Wars.
How it was apocalyptic. And they're like, but some of them took it too far. They're like, I'd love for it to be that way. I'd love to run around with my gun and my dog and stuff like that. No, you would not.
Play smash up cars? Like,
no, you wouldn't even have be a lot of things gone that would kill you. Like you get a hold of some bad food and you die because there's nothing to take to save you. So it's it's not fun.
I look at some of the millennials and Gen Zers like. Like to them, Mad Max is when they can't go get when they can't get the Uber Eats to deliver.
Right.
Oh my God, it's so archaic.
The internet's out. Oh no.
Whatever do I go? How do I buy food now? Yeah. I don't know how to shop.
Somebody told me, how would you feel if everything went out? You lost a cell phone, you didn't have Facebook anymore, and you went back to where there was no internet and something happened. I'm like, like it was in the 80s when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Or like I was used to having. I'm like, there would be an adjustment period. I would miss it for a little while, but I think that you and I, we could adjust pretty quickly back to the way it was. It wouldn't be fun, because there's a lot of convenience things that we have right now.
Yeah, I think you and I, maybe it's because we were Gen Xers.
Right, we could do that.
We use technology,
right,
but I don't think we let technology use us.
Some of our parents and grandparents, though, would be able to go back that way because a lot of them are still that way. They're like, I don't want the smartphone. I still don't
go without my phone. I don't have one now.
I don't have a Facebook. I envy the people who don't have Facebook pages now. I'm like, you're not into that? Well, good, stay that way. It's just, it's really weird.
For you and I, what we do, it's a necessary evil.
But you know what? I still like it, and I've had 98, 96 maybe % good out of it. Only 3 or 4% of it has been.
Once
bad
again,
for
I think our generation we weren't dominated by the technology.
No.
We love it for what it can bring us.
Exactly.
But we also know that there's a real world.
There is a real world,
and we like to play in it,
and
talk in it, and do things in it.
I saw a documentary once about kids who were so addicted to games. It just came out a couple of years ago. I can't remember where I saw it, Discovery Channel or something. That some of the kids they tried to get off the games, but most of them they're in a room. They have a refrigerator right beside the computer. They never leave, and when they take a break from this game, they lie down on a couch right by that computer and nap for 2 or 3 hours at a time, and just get right back up and get into it again and play it. There's one kid that was so bad he would get outside. They got him outside and was walking him in the woods just to get out to get some sun and walk in the woods. He said it was so bad. I was walking along in the woods and I would look around and I'd see the game. I'd see it as I looked at the trees in the forest. That's pretty bad. So
that would be known as an addiction.
Ever get that bad? I don't want to ever get that bad. So I'm addicted to food, but it's a whole other thing. Well, thanks for being here. Had a good time today, looking at the past and the future and having fun. Appreciate you being here with me always.
All right,
BK on Air. We'll be back next week. It's BK on Air.
Don't ever tell a lie. Say your prayers at night before you go to bed. And so, as our friends south of the border could say, adios, amigos.